Absolutely. And one of the things people say to me is, well, why should I sell my business? And I say, forgive me, but I think that's the wrong question. I think it's the correct question is, why do you want to make your e-commerce business sellable? Because ultimately, one day, you're probably going to want to sell it. Because what are you going to be doing in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years? Now, some people will be listening and saying, well, I'll still be running my business. I love it. And I'm thinking, really? Like, do you know exactly what's going to happen, A, in your life, and B, just in the landscape of the industry and perhaps the market that you're in? Are you going to be keeping up with all the technological changes? Is your business going to be able to keep up with, who knows, God knows what, more regulation coming into your industry, perhaps more competitors coming in, whatever it is. You need to at least make your business sellable so that one day you can wake up and say, okay, I'm going to sell my business. Because otherwise, if your business isn't sellable, and you wake up saying, oh, I want to sell my business, well, unfortunately, you're going to have a whole bunch of work to do to get your business into a state where it is sellable. So if you make it sellable now, then your life's going to be a whole lot easier when you finally decide that you are going to sell.
Hey guys, welcome back to the ZonCom podcast. This is Andrew Erickson. As always, happy to be here, happy to be with you, happy to be in between your ears, in your brain, talking to you right here. Thank you for joining us. I'm excited today. We are talking to Ben Leonard. Ben Leonard is a brand creator, a brand exiter, and then a brand, and now he's helping other people exit their brand as well. So that is obviously kind of the very hot topic of 2021 and 2022 are these exits and stuff. And Ben actually has an amazing story about building a brand and getting some of the trials and tribulations that go into that. And he has actually an exceptional story on those trials and tribulations that involved health issues and lawsuit issues and all sorts of stuff, but then has an amazing ending. So, Ben, thank you so much for being here.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Nice. Great and I sense I don't hear an American accent. So where are you from?
No, I'm from the UK. I'm in northeast Scotland, just south of a little city called Aberdeen. So yeah, coming to you from across the Atlantic.
Nice. I love it. That's so cool. I love the UK accents. They're quite lovely.
We have quite a few of them as well.
So Ben, you told me that you've already listened to a few of the episodes. So I was like, oh yay, all right, we have a little bit of a fan here. So I'll put you on the spot and kind of ask like what are some of your favorite episodes so far?
Josh was great. You've had so many. One of the things I like about your interview style is it feels like you're listening to two people just kind of having a conversation in a bar. Whereas,
like an Amazon conversation?
Exactly, right.
Awesome. That's exactly what we're going for.
Whereas, so many podcasts, I think, with the best intentions, the host has like this idea of these are the things that we have to get through. And it feels a little too forced, whereas actually I just feel like I'm just listening to Andrew and the guest just having a chat, and I love that. And so if only we really were in a bar just having a chat, and rather than on the computer. But there you go.
We can make that happen, man. We can go get a beer right now and make it happen if you want.
Come to Scotland and get whiskey.
Perfect. There you go. Yeah, I used to go to London and all over the UK like a lot back when the world was a little bit more open. But I'll definitely be out there at some point soon.
Excellent. Good. Yeah, I can't wait to travel more, man. COVID is just it's messed everything up. But never mind. We'll get back to it.
Yeah, it's frustrating. But I know I heard a little bit of your story. I would love to hear, Ben, kind of like so you had an exit in 2019, right? But before that, why don't we bring us back? How long? When did you start the e-com world? When did you start your business in the e-com world? And then kind of what happened at the beginning and what happened before you scaled it up?
Yeah, my background before e-com was very different. I was a scientist working as an ecologist, a marine ecologist. I was the token tree hugger in the room telling oil engineers they're not allowed to throw chemicals in the sea. And I did like my job, and I'm still a bit of an environmental nerd, just not professionally. And I got sick with a heart problem. I'm absolutely fine now, but I got signed off of work by the doc, and I had to take a whole bunch of drugs and stop all my fitness hobbies. So no more boxing, CrossFit, running around like a maniac for a while I got better. And my then girlfriend, now wife, was studying and very busy, and I needed something to do. And a couple of years previously, I'd been training at CrossFit, and at the end of the session, somebody said something like, "We beasted it today." And I remember thinking, "We beasted it, beast gear. That'd be a cool name for a brand." And of fitness equipment. And then I forgot all about it until a couple years later. I'm sick, sadly tidying out my gym bag, looking at all the kit that I'm not using, and I thought, "Oh yeah, that was that idea I had. Well, I could do a better job of this." And so I did. And it turns out I was pretty good at it, and I discovered an entrepreneurial spark that I never previously knew existed. And so began this journey of kind of learning by doing. And I think my scientific background kind of helped with that. In science, we test a hypothesis, we see what happens, we tweak it, and we test again. And that helped me, despite my lack of experience, to get going. And so, yeah, I scaled it up. I quit my job. And after 3.5 years, we were doing about $6 million. And late 2019, I sold the business. Right
Nice,
before,
man.
yeah.
Wow. So were you kind of like you're just sitting in bed, like you're resting up from your heart condition, and you're just thinking like, what kind of business can I do with my fingertips on my laptop? Or like what kind of, I know you said like you were into fitness, but how does that go into all of a sudden now I
Yeah.
sell physical products on the internet?
Sure. So at the time, I was really into boxing and also CrossFit. And in both sports, we used jump ropes, or skipping ropes, as we call them over here. And I knew that these things were made in China. And I knew that quite a lot of the equipment I was using was made in China or the Middle East. And I knew that, well, I use the internet every day. It must be possible for me to track down some manufacturers. And I hadn't heard of Alibaba at the time, right? And so some simple Googling led me to the right places, and I was able to get in touch with manufacturers and start to have conversations about developing new products. And so one thing I didn't do was I didn't just say, right, give me that and slap a label on it. What I did do was I said, okay, send me all your stuff. And then the dialogue began of, right, I like this bit. I don't like that bit. Can we make this bit do this bit a bit better? Here's what I like about my existing skipping rope. How can we improve on that? So I was always, wanting to produce good products that I could stand by and use myself. And so that's just how I got into it. And it's just an iterative process.
That I want to touch on that a little bit. I think that's a big part that people don't talk about. They're like, just buy some dumb stuff off the shelf and sell it. And I'm like, no, well, you could do that. Maybe your value add is branding and marketing, but a big product guy. I want the product to be better. I want it to be different. I want there's something to be some type of improvement. So just to reiterate on that part, that like you found a jump rope, or you call it a skipping rope, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you found a skipping rope and you're like, this one's better, or this product has superior function. So let me either at least match it, but hopefully also exceed it. So yes, please, if you get any takeaway from this, please add some value to your product.
Yeah, always. You got to bring out a product that is either as good as, but preferably better than the competition. Otherwise, what is the point? For the customer, why would they buy your product?
Exactly. So you get one awesome skipping rope and then you hit 6 million, or how does that journey happen?
It was a case. I knew all along I wanted to build a brand, right? I had the brand name in my head before I'd even started. And so the first product was called the Beast Rope. And most, but not all, of the products under the brand Beast Gear were called like the Beast such and such, right? I've got a pair of weightlifting knee sleeves in front of me here. This is actually a very old prototype. And they were called the Beast sleeves, right? Because they were weightlifting knee sleeves. And so it was because I was the customer, right? And I think that's really important. If you're going to build a brand, it's important that you have a passion for the topic, right? If you're going to start a knitting brand, I really hope you love knitting, or someone in the organization does. And so therefore, it's pretty simple for me to develop products which solved related problems for that particular group of people, in this case, fitness fans. And that's really important, I think, for anyone that wants to create an e-commerce business, is build a brand that's going to garner a following of fans, an almost evangelical cult-like following of fans, if you can, who will buy all of the products that you launch because the products make sense and you're solving a series of related problems for that group of people, rather than trying to just sell a mishmash of stuff. Particularly when it comes to time to exit, because nobody's interested in buying a business that's just selling a mishmash of stuff. They want to sell buy a legitimate brand with preferably with intellectual property around it and with a fan base who will continue to support that brand.
Yes, 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 yes. And as I've said before in the podcast, I've gotten pulled kicking and screaming into branding. I always kind of thought it was BS because it's just like, whatever, it's just like some stupid name or whatever. And then like now I'm like 180. I'm like, no, it's so important. It's so important. Like and for me, I consider a brand a consistent product line marketed to a consistent customer, a consistent avatar, using a consistent style and theme. So you basically the same stuff, the same people that looks the same. The products look the same. I guess the people look the same too, maybe. But in that way, like yes, you're identifying a group of people and you're learning how to talk to them. You're learning how to think like them. You're learning what problems they have, and then you are solving their problems. Yep. Hopefully with physical products. You can also do it. And also it makes it easier with digital products too. We found that one of our best lead gen stuff is 7 tips, in your case with workout stuff, it'd be like 7 tips to increase your biceps, or 7 tips to reduce belly, reduce fat, or 7 tips to like increase stamina, right? Like those kind of stuff. Like you're solving a problem of theirs with a digital good, and of course you're doing that by doing a lead gen. That's how we do our lead gen stuff. Is kind of like tip guides, home printables, whatever it is. And it's so much easier when you have a clear customer and a clear problem to fix. It's so much easier to do that stuff.
I mean, that type of thing, it's straight out of the classic, and like him or hate him, and I love the guy, but it's classic Gary Vaynerchuk. Provide people with helpful, free, compelling, useful, engaging information, give, and eventually ask for the sale. Jab, 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 right hook. And it just works.
Yes. And I love it too, because it's like, good. I can actually push 10 units of value into the world and capture 1 or 2 units of value back at me. In that case, that would be profit I'm capturing, right? Yep. But I can create, this podcast is a perfect example of that. Like, I want to give everybody listening as much content, as much valuable content as possible. It's actually cheap and easy for me to distribute this stuff because it's free. You subscribe for free. I distribute for free. I have a producer now, so there's a little bit of cost associated with it, but like the amount of reach we get on this is like incredible. So I can provide as much value as possible, and then sometimes we get extra little things in here and there, and people hit a couple affiliate links, and it's like fantastic. I can give as much value to you guys as possible, and it just works.
Yeah, and also it's you're playing the long game, because all that reciprocity you're building up, all that goodwill that you're building up, either towards your brand, or in this case more like your personal brand, one day those people, they may not buy from you now, they may not buy from you soon, but they probably will one day, because you're constantly providing value to them.
Yes, exactly. So then you grow this brand, you're getting so I guess at this point your heart condition is a little bit better.
Yeah, okay. I got better. So I took the drugs for 9 months and slowly but surely got back into fitness and stuff. And now I'm, all is well. And I quit my job after about 2 years. So I sold the business after about 3.5. I quit the job.
That's the scientist job?
Yeah. So I was an environmental consultant in the oil industry.
So I want to, because a lot of people that are listening, they're considering quitting, or that's either their goal in the next 12 months, or they're kind of at that precipice, or they're kind of maybe sort of there. They're thinking, maybe I can do it now. Maybe I should wait next week. So I want to expand on that a little bit. Yep. What was your reasoning for quitting?
It was not sustainable anymore for me to just run the business in the evenings and weekends. My passion for my business was overtaking the fact that I did like my job. Like a lot of people hate their job. I didn't hate my job. I liked my job. I liked the people I worked with. The work I was doing was interesting. My boss was super nice. But I had to give this a go. I discovered an entrepreneurial spark in me, and I needed to burn through it. But the thing is, I was very lucky, because I went to my boss. She knew I was doing the business, right? I told her about it. And I said to her, look, that fitness brand that I've been doing on the side? Oh, yeah, how's it going? Well, it's actually going really well. And I need to give it a go. I need to do this. And she said to me, that's amazing. That's fantastic. I'm so pleased for you. Don't quit. I'm going to give you a year's sabbatical, so that if it all goes terribly wrong, you got your job back. But hopefully we'll never see you again, and it's a big success. And
yes,
I'm so grateful to her. She's basically the best boss in the world, So it was great, because I had this safety net, and it meant that I could suddenly I was like, I was just like breathing easy, right? I was able to operate at my best self, because I knew that if this doesn't work out, I'm still going to be able to pay the mortgage. I'm going to have a job to go back to. And if it does work out, then wonderful. So that was amazing. And
Nice.
I know that I was very lucky in that respect.
Yeah, that's great. Actually, the same thing happened to me too.
That's so cool.
Yeah, we same thing. I my boss at the time, again, same thing. He's a great guy. I actually still go we go lobster diving in San
That's cool.
Diego because we're next to the ocean. We get into wetsuits and dive 20 feet down, free dive, so just snorkel and stuff, and we'll go lobster hunting.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And he goes with me, so he's lobster hunting buddy, and it's my old boss. And so nice, really nice guy. And he maybe he's listening. Hi, Matt, if you're listening. But yeah, I asked the same thing. I was like, hey, stuff is going well. Can I take a 3-month sabbatical? For me, it was Q4. I was like, I really wanted to go to Canton Fair, and I really want to meet my supplier, and I want to do this Christmas thing because at that point, we didn't have the systems and processes in place where Christmas was a lot of freaking work for me. Now it's a lot easier because we prep a lot more for it. And he's allowed me to. He allowed me to take off for 4 months. And it was the same exact thing as you, Ben, that I was just like, awesome. I can go hard and not really worry about a salary for the next 4 months just because I know I can always just get it back. And so, that's thank you, bosses of the world, for doing that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's the thing. Understanding bosses who understand, the need to kind of burn that entrepreneurial spark. We're all grateful for it.
Nice. I love that. And then, so Ben, you now you kind of have that a little bit of a safety net. So smooth sailing, open ocean. And I heard you had a little bit of a legal hiccup.
Oh yeah. Right. Okay. So I mentioned that, the first kind of few products was kind of almost off the shelf. It wasn't just slap a label on it. It was, give me all your components and let's make something a bit better with what you've got. But as the business was growing, I knew I wanted to design my own products. So I designed my own product. I designed a thick bar adapter, which would you put onto a dumbbell or a barbell, makes the bar thicker, more difficult to use. Now, a product performing the same function already existed, very well known, but it had been unchallenged for maybe almost 2 decades. Basically, no one else in the space, and they were charging customers an arm and a leg for this product, which was incredibly cheap to source. I designed a better one, performed the same job, but looked and felt different, was a superior product, and I charged customers a much fairer price. So naturally, my product became the leader in the space. This is in the UK and Europe, not in North America. One day, I get a letter in the mail telling me that I have to stop selling immediately and that I'm infringing on their design registration, which is a little bit like a design patent in the States. And Amazon suspended my product. Amazon, unfortunately, sometimes just shoots before they ask any questions. What's more, the letter was in German. Despite the organization that was coming after me being from North America, they sent the letter in German through a German lawyer just because they could, because one of the countries I was selling in was Germany. So they decided to do it there. And it was clear from the letter that they had a lot of experience doing this. They'd probably put several small businesses out of business with these aggressive tactics. However, before I took my product to market, I had everything gone over with a fine-tooth comb by a very, very good intellectual property attorney. And I had my own design registrations protecting my product. So we took our time, did our homework, we didn't panic, and we discovered several things. One was I wasn't infringing on their patent. There were their design registration. There were significant differences between my product and theirs, which we knew anyway before I took my product to market. 2, and this is hilarious, when the huge organization that owned this brand acquired the brand, they acquired it from an entrepreneur not dissimilar to me. A guy who developed a product, scratching his own itch, seeing a gap in the market. Unfortunately, though, this guy made the mistake of having his design registration drawings done cheaply. And so the drawings in his design registration weren't very good, and these were inherited by the huge organization that now owned the brand. And so it turned out that their design registration drawings were so poor, in fact, that they didn't actually protect their own product. And so we basically went back to them and said, well, Ben's product isn't infringing on your design registration, and here are the reasons why your own design registration doesn't even protect your own product. So kindly leave Ben alone, or we're going to go to court and have your design registration invalidated, which will be publicly published, and then the whole market will open up. So you can either put up with Ben or put up with everybody. And So very quickly, Amazon put my product back online and they disappeared. I tried to get legal costs out of them and I tried to recover the cost of the lost sales whilst my product was suspended for like a month. I didn't. It cost me tens of thousands of pounds, but the satisfaction of winning this sort of, David versus Goliath battle was incredible. And actually, a short time later, someone else tried to rip me off. They actually tried to copy that same product. But of course, I'd had my design registrations done. And so I think the moral of that story is as fun as it is to bootstrap and do things kind of on the cheap when you're starting, do not scrimp when it comes to intellectual property. Get really good lawyers to do all your trademarks and your design registrations and your patents, not just for the countries you're selling in, but the countries you're sourcing in too. That's really important because one day you might need it. And also, when it comes to selling your business, potential buyers want to know that you have a shield of defensibility when it comes to intellectual property around your brand, whether it's trademarks or patents or design registrations.
That is great to know, Ben. That's a good story because I actually have filed design patents, and I did the first two myself, and I don't know. I think it's stupid. I did it myself. Like, I just wanted to save the, $3,000 or something.
Yeah. So here's a story. In fact, people can look this up. This is funny. If you go to the go to ipo.gov.uk, that is the intellectual property office for the UK government, and search for the Beast Gear trademark. And this is public domain, right? So I'm allowed to talk about this. You'll find that the Beast Gear trademarks were originally registered in 2016. And then identical marks were registered a year later. Why? The first ones were terrible and done by me. And a year later, they were done by a really, really good intellectual property attorney because I learned that I'd done it the wrong way. And so the first ones, you can see that the scope of the protection is really narrow, which means anyone could come in and start selling stuff under the name Beast Gear, and they would be able to argue, but your trademark doesn't protect you again, doesn't cover you for this, so I can do it. Whereas much more broad protection was provided by the marks that were done properly. And so a lot of people will say in the forums, they'll say, oh, how do I get my trademark done? And they'll say, oh, you can do it for a couple $100 or a few £100. Here's how you do it. And people get really smug and they say, oh, yeah, I did it for a couple $100. And they think that because they have this piece of paper with their brand name on it, that's everything. But they're not a professional intellectual property attorney, right? They don't know what they're doing. And until you have consulted with a professional, you don't really know whether your trademark or your design patent or whatever it is really giving you the fullest breadth of protection that you might need.
That is great to know. Yeah, I think you're having my gears turn in my head right now because
you're gonna be ringing
go back and forth with my partner.
Oh.
Honestly, go back and forth with my partner because we're like, hey guys, I want to interrupt the episode for just a few seconds for you. Today's episode is brought to us by our sponsor, Helium 10. Helium 10 is one of my favorite tools. I use it literally every single day. Actually, I don't tell people I use this tool. I tell people I live and breathe this tool. So what Helium 10 is going to do a quick little demo here. I've actually loaded up a real page. We're going to talk about how to find our launch keywords for a metal taco holder. Kind of a fun project. So here I am loading up X-Ray, which gives us like sales data on all these different products. I'm going to go through here and find a few of the products that make sense. They're all kind of like relevant things. These are all like metal taco holders, right? I'm going to exclude the plastic ones. I'm going to exclude the weird dinosaur ones and stuff. I'm just going to grab a few metal ones. And I think I like to grab 10, but like 5 to 10 works as long as you have a good number of products here to kind of see the algorithm, right? We're all thinking about the algorithm. Now, when we hit that, we can load up Cerebro. So here's Cerebro loading. And boom, we have our keywords. We have our keywords that came with that are our top ranked keywords for these products. So you can see here what the main image looks like, and we can see here a list of all these keywords. We have thousands and thousands of keywords that are going to be things that we're ranking for. We want to have our best launch keywords though, and those launch keywords are, I like to use 1,000 to 5,000 search volume. And also, here's a big one. This is a killer one. We want ranking competitors. Who are our main competitors and where are they ranking? I put 5 to 10. I like to kind of see that the top, like in this case, we have 8. So you're going to have 6 or 7 ranking competitors. So here I'm filtering by search volume, and we want to find the top search products. And we also want to see how many of them our competitors ranking for. where our competitors are ranking is where we should be launching to. If these products look just like ours, then people who search these things are looking for products just like ours, right? So here we have 7 ranking competitors. We have thousands of searches per month. And these products are going to be, now use a human part and think which ones make the most sense for my product. And in this case, I chose these 3, and I think these are the best keywords that we should launch to. That is a quick little 1-minute tutorial about how we use Helium 10 to pick our launch keywords. So this tutorial, I hope you figured out, hope you got some value from this. If you want to use this tool yourself, use ZonCon10 for 10% off for the rest of your life. I have used Helium 10 for, 5 years, 6 years, so 10% for life. I'll probably use it for the next 5 or 10 years, right? So go ahead and go to helium10.com and use that discount code ZonCon10. That's ZONCON 10 for 10% off for the rest of your life. We're very DIY. I think you're not, everyone in this space is DIY. Otherwise you wouldn't be like doing your own business, DIY business, right? And so I'm like, I'm smart. I can figure it out. Like, and then I, screw it up, and it's kind of like, God, why did I burn 15 hours and then still not even do a good job at it? I could have just spent an extra $2,000 and just fixed it from the beginning. So
it's very tempting as entrepreneurs, especially in the types of businesses we're in, to do everything ourselves. But I don't blame people, because I got it wrong myself, early on. But the more I go on in business, the more I learn that unless I'm either an expert or very good at something, I want to be at least getting advice, if not just getting someone else to do the thing. And so that's something I've learned. And that's why, for instance, in one of my new brands as well, I'm now partnering. I've learned that I'm not the operator, I'm not the integrator, I'm the visionary. And so my business partner, he's the guy, he's the integrator, he's the operator. That's where his skills are. And so, I think as you go on, you become better at learning to what you can and what you can't do, and what you should and what you shouldn't do. Sometimes it's not about what you can and can't do, it's what you shouldn't do, because your time is much better spent somewhere else anyway.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I can hear from your terminology of visionary and integrator, I'm guessing you read Traction and Rocket Fuel.
Absolutely, yeah, good books. Yeah, I preferred Rocket Fuel.
So for those of us who don't know, it's a book series. Gino Wickman, Traction is a fantastic book. I always tell people it's a little bit like eating your vegetables. It's not like an exciting page turner, but it is critical to business the same way that eating vegetables is critical to health. And so also Rocket Fuel is a little bit more fun book, and they talk about having a 2-headed company, a visionary and an integrator. So Ben, tell me, how did you find this integrator? Because that's hard.
Yeah, so Mark and I just knew each other from a mastermind, and I read another book called Who Not How by Dan Sullivan, and I knew that I needed to partner on the next brand, and Mark and I were just having conversations. Mark's background is running e-commerce accounts for others, and he felt like it was time for him to build something of his own. And I knew, therefore, from his skill set of running the accounts, that he had that more integrator style skill set. And Mark knew from my background with my previous brand that I had that more visionary style skill set. So it was just, it made sense, and we clicked, and off we go. And so we're developing that line. We're developing a brand of parent and baby related accessories, and that'll be ready in spring next year.
Nice, I love that. So you take a step back from the current brands you're building, because you said you exited in 2019. Like how was that exit? How was the experience and everything else with it?
Ultimately, it was good. Got a buyer, got a good price. The time between me deciding to sell and the deal being done was a bit rocky. So 2019, very different landscape than it is now. Things have changed so rapidly. I found a broker, and the process with them took a lot longer than I would have liked. And there were a lot of things that they did do that they didn't do that well, and quite a few things that they just didn't do. And in the end, they actually made an enormous financial calculation error, which would have undervalued the business by about 30%. I noticed it, my accountant fixed it, and I then negotiated down their commission. After this lengthy process was concluded and we sold the business, my accountant, Allison, who saved the day, and I put our heads together and said, well, we could do a better job of this. There's clearly a gap here for a better experience for e-commerce business owners to sell their business with a broker. And so we created ecom brokers, me on the e-commerce side, understanding what it is like day to day to be an e-commerce business owner, how to create a brand and turn it into something valuable. And Allison has about 20 years mergers and acquisitions experience, and she's a specialist e-commerce accountant. So those things kind of give us experience on all sides of the equation, whereas some of the more kind of generic style brokers just kind of don't have that. And they're working at, on an enormous scale, and they don't really get quite as bespoke as we do. And so, that's what that process taught me. And that was, I guess that comes back to kind of discovering that entrepreneurial spirit that I did before. Is in the past, I wouldn't have noticed the gap there to fill. And now I see the gap and I'm like, cool, that's what we got to do. We've had this experience and we can do a better job of it.
Nice. I love that. So are you working with people for like a week before exit or a year before exit? Like, how does that work?
A whole range, definitely not a week. So with ecom brokers, some people will come to us and say, "Hey, what's my business worth?" And we'll do some analysis and we'll do an initial indicative valuation before we get really deep. And we'll say, "Hey, it's this is worth £2 million," and they'll say, "That's fantastic. Let's sell it." And we'll then do a deeper analysis and actually maximize the value to significantly more than that, and then market it to a pool of the right buyers. Other people will say, kind of didn't want to sell it for less than 3, and we say, okay, that's fine, this is where you are, how are we going to get to 3? And we kind of start reverse engineering what are the things we need to do to get there and stacking them up like dominoes and getting them there. And either that's the case of here's what you need to do, go away and do it, we're here if you need us, or we actually will mentor them on a route to exit, and that can be over a period of many months. So we're very patient, we play the long game. We don't ever we'd never flip somebody's business, we'd only carefully sell it. And we're all about working on a time scale and working towards the goals that work for the seller, rather than selling businesses as quickly as possible on a kind of volume basis.
Nice. I love that. And what do you take, like an exit percentage or like a monthly fee or something? Or how does that work?
It's a percentage, which I think works for everyone because it means that sellers can see clearly that we have an incentive to sell the business for as much as we possibly can. And it's a sliding scale. So at the bottom end, it's about 12%, and at the top end, it's about 1.75%. So it's a model that seems to work very nicely for everyone.
Nice. Yeah, I love that. So we've talked about selling a lot on this podcast. So I'll let if you want to hear about how and why you should sell your business, the episode that we did the beginning of October in our exit series is a great one to look back on with, where I talked with my business partner, Mike, about that actual thing, why you would want to sell. The thing that's interesting, even if you've never wanted to sell your business, knowing the principles of what makes a business valuable to sell in the future they're really valuable for 2 things. One, you might change your mind later and actually want to sell it. That's a big one. The second reason is that the reason why it becomes more valuable on exit is because the business itself is more valuable and it's your asset, and it is more valuable to you as well. Because just like you said, Ben, having good patents protects your business. Even if you don't sell it, protects your cash flow. Having good systems and processes protects your time and allows you to scale your business for your cash flow. Right. So all these different things, I think, even if you don't want to sell, knowing the principles of what to sell is like so important.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things people say to me is, well, why should I sell my business? And I say, forgive me, but I think that's the wrong question. I think it's the correct question is, why do you want to make your e-commerce business sellable? Because ultimately one day you're probably going to want to sell it. Because what are you going to be doing in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years? Now, some people will be listening and saying, well, I'll still be running my business. I love it. And I'm thinking, really? Like, do you know exactly what's going to happen, A, in your life, and B, just in the landscape of the industry and perhaps the market that you're in? Are you going to be keeping up with all the technological changes? Is your business going to be able to keep up with, who knows, God knows what, more regulation coming into your industry, perhaps more competitors coming in, whatever it is? You need to at least make your business sellable so that one day you can wake up and say, okay, I'm going to sell my business. Because otherwise, if your business isn't sellable, and you wake up saying, oh, I want to sell my business, well, unfortunately, you're going to have a whole bunch of work to do to get your business into a state where it is sellable. So if you make it sellable now, then your life's going to be a whole lot easier when you finally decide that you are going to sell.
Boom. I love that. Yes, that's our hook right there. We're gonna that's gonna be the beginning of the episode.
There you go.
Love it, Ben. So cool. Why don't you tell us your website where people can find you more, and then we'll go into our famous 3 questions we like to ask everybody.
Absolutely. Head over to ecombrokers.co.uk. It's a UK domain, but we're working all over the world. I'm in Scotland. We're about to close a deal between a Mexican seller and a Mexican buyer, which I think is brilliant. So ecombrokers.co.uk. You can email me, ben@ecombrokers.co.uk. And I'm on all the main social media platforms, including LinkedIn. I love to chat. So yeah, look me up.
Nice. Love it, Ben. So I love asking everybody the same 3 questions because I think these are great entrepreneurial questions. And if you've listened to the podcast before, you probably know what's coming up. The first one I like to ask people is, what is your why? Why do you do these things? Why not stay a scientist, an environmental scientist working for an oil and gas company? Why did you go into the entrepreneurial thing, and now why are you doing the broker thing?
Yeah, I mean, the first why is kind of cliched. I guess a lot of people will use this, but cliches exist because they're true, I guess. My family. I wanted to, initially I wanted to make a bit of pocket money on the side, as well as it being a project for me as I recovered. And as it became obvious to me that I could actually make more than just a bit of pocket money, I really wanted to earn some extra cash for my family. And then same principle kind of applied when it was time to exit, right? I realized that I could actually make us financially secure. And particularly working in the industry that I worked in, oil and gas, which has, booms and busts all the time. And I was seeing friends and colleagues be made redundant. That was really, really important. So, it's kind of an obvious one, but that is kind of my why. And secondary to that, I guess, is that I've discovered that I just kind of love it. I've got this kind of entrepreneurial spark that I need to burn through. And I think what I'm probably going to do is burn through it for about a decade and then probably get back to environmental stuff, probably more in like an advisory capacity with like environmental NGOs and that kind of thing.
Nice. I love it. I love the entrepreneurial spark. For me, I always tell people, I'm like, it's like an itch. Like I see something, I start I'm like, ooh, wait, there's like some opportunity there. Like I know it's probably bad. Probably should not do this, but I like when I see little businesses like an ice cream truck or like someone flipping a house or some like Santa Claus. I was just talking about talking to a friend this week. I was like, how much does Santa at a mall make? Because I'm like, if you sell a $40 package of photographs every 60 seconds and then you upsell 1 in 10 to a $300 package, right? I'm like doing the math and I'm like, God, these guys are doing, $2,000 an hour in revenue. And I'm like, that's, like that's probably unhealthy that I have that, but I'm like, that's always my like,
you know what? I relate to that. I think a lot of us have that. Andrew, so I wouldn't worry about it.
Okay. Awesome, man. So what is a favorite piece of media, book, a podcast, or whatever?
Of mine, Built to Sell by John Warlow is an absolute classic, and it was really instrumental in helping me get the right mindset and get my business prepared to sell. So Built to Sell. Everyone should read it, even if they think they're not going to sell. Just read it.
Nice. And we also talked about the Traction series by Gino Wickman. And I think before we were recording, we were talking about the story brand, right?
Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller. I absolutely love that. He's written several books, Building a Story Brand, Marketing Made Simple, Business Made Simple, all great books. Big fan of the guy. Yeah.
Love it. Love it. What is one actionable thing that Amazon sellers can do today?
Go and check that your intellectual property is all in order, and do not be afraid to spend pretty significant money on getting it done by a top expert attorney.
Love it. Love it, Ben. Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. Ben Leonard, he is on LinkedIn, and we'll make sure to have links to all of his websites and social media platforms and stuff like that in the show notes. So Ben, thank you so much for being here.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me, Andrew.
Hey guys, I love getting reviews on my podcast. It really helps me give feedback and figure out what you guys want. If you guys can go to iTunes and leave a review for us, just go to iTunes, type in ZonCon, ZONCON, find our podcast and leave us a review. I'm going to read one of them right now because they always make me so happy. This one is from Matt JP. All right, Matt JP, thanks for writing a review. One of the best out there. Andrew is very smart and talented Amazon seller. His deep expertise and excitement to help others is evident in his podcast. They've really helped me on my Amazon journey. Yes, Matt, good. I'm so happy. So glad that I was able to help in any way possible. And thank you, Matt, for helping me with one of these iTunes reviews. If I've helped you in your Amazon journey, as Matt says, please leave us an iTunes review. iTunes, ZonCon Podcast. Leave a honest, I'll say an honest. I was going to say 5-star, but maybe I don't know if that's in terms of service. We'll say an honest review.